You want to be a VMware Certified Master Specialist, HCI 2021 certification, so you need to take and pass 5V0-21.21 exam successfully. We have released new VMware certification 5V0-21.21 exam dumps with the actual questions and answers to ensure that you can pass VMware HCI Master Specialist certification exam. Real 5V0-21.21 dumps questions cover each exam section. Learning 5V0-21.21 exam dumps should be the best way to prepare for VMware 5V0-21.21 exam well. Question number 1. Upon investigating a workload performance issue, a VSAN administrator observed a high backend IOPs on a VSAN cluster. Which two causes explain this behavior? Choose 2. A. The cluster DRS threshold has been set to aggressive. B. There is a VSAN node failure. C. The VSAN resync throttling is enabled. D. The object repair timer value has been increased. E. The VSAN policy protection level has changed from FTT equals 0 to FTT equals 1. Answer: C. E. Question number 2. Which statement accurately describes the result when proper VM storage policy affinity rules on a stretched VSAN cluster are set? A. When a site is disconnected, the VM will lose access to its VMDK. B. When a site is disconnected, the VM will continue to have access to its VMDK. C. Bandwidth is unnecessarily sent across the intersite link. D. Proper policies result in higher intersite bandwidth utilization. Answer: A. Question number 3. An architect is working with an all-flash VSAN configuration and will be using the flash caching devices in VSAN. Which requirement is specifically needed for these devices? A. Write endurance. B. IOPs. C. Read endurance. D. Capacity. Answer: A. Question number 4. An administrator is setting up VSAN file services on a VSAN cluster. Which two security policies on the distributed port groups are automatically enabled in the process? Choose 2. A. Forged transmits. B. Promiscuous mode. C. DV filtering. D. Jumbo frames. E. Mac learning. Answer: A. B. Question number 5. An administrator is tasked with preparing for a cross-vCenter migration in a stretched VSAN cluster where the virtual machines migration will be orchestrated via VMware Site Recovery Manager. Which action should the administrator take so the migration is successful? A. Disable VSAN deduplication and compression. B. Reconfigure vCenter HA admission control. C. Enable vCenter single sign-on enhanced linked mode. D. Make sure that witness traffic is on the management NIC. Answer: C. Question number 6. An administrator has been tasked to reboot a node in an encrypted VSAN cluster. The VSAN disk groups on that node become locked after rebooting the node. Which step should be performed to exit the locked state? A. Manually replace the host encryption key, HEK, of each affected host. B. Restore the communication with the KMS server, and re-establish the trust relationship. C. Replace the caching device in each affected disk group. D. Run, etc., init. D. VSAN VPD restart to rescan the VESA providers. Answer: B. Question number 7. A customer has upgraded to VSAN 7, but there is still an existing legacy host which must be removed from the VSAN cluster. Which 3 steps must an administrator take to successfully remove this host from the VSAN cluster? Choose 3. A. Place the host in maintenance mode with ensure accessibility. B. Disconnect from vCenter server. C. Place the host in maintenance mode with full data migration. D. Place the host in maintenance mode with no data migration. E. Remove from VSAN cluster. F. Delete the disk groups on the legacy host. Answer: C, E, F. Question number 8. An administrator wants to enable encryption on an existing VSAN cluster that already contains virtual machines. Which additional step should the administrator take to ensure no data is lost during the encryption process? A. Select Erase disks before use checkbox when enabling encryption on a VSAN cluster. B. Make vCenter server trust the KMS, either by trusting the KMS or by uploading a KMS certificate. C. Ensure that the VSAN encryption is enabled by default on the existing cluster to encrypt old and new data. D. Disable vSphere Distributed Resources Schedule (DRS) on the VSAN cluster. Answer: A. Question number 9. An architect is working with VSAN and setting the fault domains to support FTT=1. How many fault domains will be needed? A. 2. B. 3. Circa 4. D. 1. Answer: B. Question number 10. An administrator is planning to deploy cloud-native workloads onto the VSAN Direct datastore. Which storage policy structure rule is supported? A. Host-based rules. B. VVOL storage rules. C. Tag-based placement rules. D. Storage performance-based rules. Answer: A. Thanks for watching. Any questions, please contact us freely.